Hey guys, this is Jennifer Lutz from True Health Naturopathic Medicine. I am the health coach and lifestyle educator here at our clinic, and I wanted to put together a video today to share with you a little bit about my detox experience back from 2012 when I first did it. I know that for a lot of us, when we look at doing a group program, it's either because we have a friend or a relative that are participating in the program, but when we don't have that, making the leap to do it by yourself, or if you have those curiosities, sometimes you don't have somebody to ask questions of in terms of what their experience was like. So I wanted to share with you a little bit about my personal experiences back from when I did this in 2012. So 2012 was really kind of an interesting year for me because there were lots of changes and transitions going on. One of the big things for me was that at the beginning of the year, I decided to leave the gym environment where I was working as a personal trainer and move into something that was a little bit more professional, and I started working in a chiropractic office. And it was through that connection that I first met Dr. Paulson. I heard that she was a naturopathic doctor, but that really had no context for me as I did not know what a naturopathic doctor did. So after working at the office for a little while, she did approach me to let me know that she was putting together a group detox program in the spring of that year that would start in April, and she was looking for some additional help with marketing services, and I love to do freelance graphic design work, so it was a good fit, and she and I started working together on that, and in return for my help, she provided me with the materials needed to do the detox for free. So when she started talking about the detox and I was putting the marketing material together, she was kind of calling it Dump the Junk Group Detox. And again, it really didn't have a lot of context for me. I didn't really understand what, having toxins meant. I knew that it was going to involve some food changes, but again, really didn't know, what to expect until the first night. And so when we did our first group introduction, some things started to click and the wheels started to turn a little bit, and I thought, what, maybe this is something that I should really go all in on, because there were some health concerns that I had. And this is kind of the personal part of my life where this is something that I had been suffering with for a long time that people didn't really know about. I think that because I had been working as a personal trainer, there was just this perception that I was really healthy, when in fact just the opposite was true. I had suffered from irritable bowel for quite some time, and I didn't even really know that I was suffering from anything. I just assumed that my bad bowels were something that were inherited based on some familial history, and I just expected that for most of my life I would continue to have the same upset stomachs and diarrhea that I had had since I was about 7 years old. I was that kid that was in the nurse's office pretty much every other day, that didn't feel good, that had, really real nausea, moments when Brad and I, my husband, were dating. I can remember, going to leave and saying, hey, I need you to pull back into the driveway because I have to run into the house and go to the bathroom again. Well, this was really uncomfortable, and this was something that when I was looking online, I couldn't find any information to really give me any information on how to heal this problem. When I was looking at the information online, there were a lot of references of it being more of a psychosomatic kind of concern, where it was more emotionally ruled. Some of the treatments that people had suggested were either eating ginger or drinking peppermint tea or avoiding foods like peppers and onions. And so, I thought I would give all of those things a shot. From a self-medication standpoint, in terms of things that I would eat, I would either not eat, or when I did eat, I would have something that would give me a lot of energy and a lot of calorie density. So I would actually drink a regular pop. I might accompany that with a candy bar, especially if I was on my way to work, because my pattern for me is that I would wake up nauseous in the morning, and then I wouldn't feel like eating anything, and then I would have to go into work for a shift, and I would just be pretty depleted from a nutrient standpoint. Of course, at the time I wasn't thinking nutrients, I was just thinking calories and energy, so I was looking for those quick fixes. And so, this is around the time where I can remember going to work at the chiropractic office too, where all of a sudden I'm in this environment that has a different health opportunity and feeling just kind of out of integrity around the whole thing too. Like, hey, I'm your chiropractic admin showing up with a pop, but don't judge me because I don't feel good and I kind of need this to get through. And they were always super gracious about everything, but looking back at it, I just can remember those feelings of just kind of feeling like I know that this is something that I shouldn't be doing, but I just don't know what else to do. So enter the detox. Now, group detoxes and the individual effects that you will have are going to be different for everybody. And one of the things to think about is that when we look at our health overall, we all have different aspects of our own immune systems and the way that our body responds to things that show up differently for all of us. For me, it was always my gut. My gut's always been my poor and my weak part of my immune system. But for other people, it shows up in different ways. So some people have headaches all of the time. They may have joint aches and pains. Instead of having diarrhea, they may have constipation. They could have acid reflux. They could have hormonal imbalances. They could have blood sugar imbalances. They could have there's a whole variety of different symptoms that show up for people that we don't talk about them a lot because everybody seems to have their aches and pains, and because of that we just assume that these are things that happen as we age, and that's simply just not true. So with the detox program, what you have the availability to do is when you start changing up your food and you really get serious about keeping only certain foods in for a certain period of time, you have a chance to give your body a complete break. And that's exactly what my body needed. It needed a complete break. And so when we go through the different weeks, and Dr. Paulson wrote about this in her blog post, there's a different way that we approach each week with the different steps for the detox. So week one, what I call, it's our foundational food plan, and what it is it's just a healthy, balanced way of eating for life, focusing on blood sugar balancing and getting whole foods in, and cutting out some of the stuff that we know doesn't work well for us in terms of sugar and caffeine and things like that. So yep, dietary changes are absolutely a part of the plan. Then we get a little bit more specific and we look at the foods that are known to be more inflammatory triggers for most of us with our dietary intake. Now I say most of us, but it's not going to be every single person, but by eliminating those foods and eliminating the potential for inflammation, we again are giving the body a chance to break and to reset and to focus its healing energies on the areas that really need it versus fighting against the foods that we're eating all of the time. We take things up one more notch going into week 3, and we focus on what we call the shake week. And with the shake week, what we're doing is we're giving the body a full reset because we're using a hypoallergenic medical food in substitution for whole foods, so the body can really just have a nice time out for a week's period of time. Once that week is done, then you go into your 4th week, which is going to be more of a food reintroduction period, where once you've had the ability to experience what it feels like to be without the burden of some of the foods that don't work well for you, you're really in tune with how your body responds to these foods when you add them back in. So we ask for some patience and for some diligence with adding the foods back in. Now this, for me, personally, is really where things became so clear and so obvious. Now I know that I had some gut issues, but there were other things that I hadn't even thought about before. My menstrual cycles improved by like 100%, so I went from having like really heavy periods and lots of cramping and lots of bloating and discomfort and mood swings to just kind of going, oh, I guess I have my period. Like, it was super easy, which, you know, for some people is really something that is quite welcome. My energy had improved by like 100%. Part of the problem that I was having with the IBS was that the nausea was keeping me up at night, and I just didn't feel well so often that I was using Unisum and Pepto-Bismol to self-medicate pretty much every night, and would just kind of wake up nauseous and just unable to sleep for, you know, a good percentage of my evenings. And so that was gone. My headaches were gone. Another remarkable thing that I'd never even thought of in terms of what it could provide in terms of outcome, around this time I had started to do some jogging and some running, and it was kind of on again, off again. You know, my first 5K, I remember that I ran it in 38 minutes. So I wasn't breaking any records, but I was still out there trying. After my detox, I did a 5K and I ran it in 27 minutes. Like, that's just unreal to me to still think about, like 11 minutes faster. And I just recall feeling so much more energy and so much more like endurance. And it was just something where I felt like running had become easier. Of course, there was a little bit of weight loss too, but it really was just a little bit. I think I lost about 6 pounds of body fat during that time, but I lost a lot of the kind of, we call it junky water, and that's something that we test when we do our body composition testing. So overall, the benefits for me were just phenomenal. The other thing that it did, it was a big game changer in my life, just because I became so passionate about naturopathic medicine and really understanding the body's ability to heal, that it was the turning point for me in terms of becoming a lifestyle educator and a health coach. I felt like this was information that I had had access to, and everybody else needed to have access to it also. So it is with that I just want to say in closing, I really hope that we can see you at the introduction evening. If you're unable to make it to that night, but this is something that you still want to look at for yourself, please feel free to contact me at any time here at the office. Again, it's something that I just feel for so many people can really be a pivotal turning point in their health and how they're taking care of themselves, and just kind of the ahas and the realizations that come through going through the program really allow for people to have a lot of health breakthroughs. So if you have any questions, feel free to give the office a call here at 715-483-1315. The introductory evening is on Thursday, March 31st, and it's at 6:30 p.m. and it is at the Taylors Falls Baptist Church, which is right across the street from the elementary school. Thanks for listening and hope to see you there.